You're listening to A Truth Universally Trending, a free audiobook composed by Lefki Karantoni. One evening she really couldn't be bothered. Narrated by 11 Labs. Copyright 2026 Lefki Karantoni. All rights reserved. Chapter 1 and only. Ah, the anachronisms, that eternal plague. But did she never read the original? How thoughtless of her. The fire popped, a solitary burst of sound in the otherwise silent Netherfield library. Fitzwilliam Darcy slumped in a winged leather armchair, his long legs stretched out towards the hearth. He was enveloped by the gloom, save for the sharp, blinding flashes of a halogen bulb. He toggled the switch of the side-table lamp with mind-numbing repetition, staring blankly at the mahogany-panelled wall. The house was finally quiet. The relentless notifications from his iPhone had been silenced, the device shoved deep into his waistcoat pocket. He needed a moment of stillness. Netherfield was a madhouse of ringing landlines, humming refrigerators, and the incessant vacuous chatter of Bingley's sisters. Click on, click off. The brass handle of the door turned, and the heavy oak swung inward. Elizabeth Bennet stood framed in the corridor's bright, unforgiving LED glow, holding a self-heating mug. Darcy immediately froze, his thumb hovering guiltily over the plastic switch. "Miss Elizabeth," he said, swiftly abandoning the lamp, sitting up straighter and smoothing his cravat. "How is your sister?" Miss Elizabeth sighed, stepping into the dim room and allowing the door to click shut behind her. The LED glare vanished, returning the room to the soft, flickering firelight. The apothecary just departed on his electric scooter. She set the mug on a coaster. He prescribed a strict regimen of ibuprofen and orange-flavoured electrolytes. He assures me she should be fine on the morrow, provided she stays hydrated and finishes the blister pack. "I am relieved to hear it," Darcy said, sincerity bleeding through his usual reserve. "Is there anything the staff can fetch for her? A heating pad? Perhaps." "No, thank you. She is resting comfortably." She tilted her head, her fine eyes adjusting to the low light, a playful smirk tugging at the corner of her mouth. "Why are you sitting in the dark, Mr. Darcy? You strike me as a man who must constantly be in motion. Optimizing a portfolio, perhaps, or organizing a spreadsheet." Darcy released a long breath, gesturing vaguely to the towering bookshelves. "I have read everything of value in Bingley's library, and I have already watched the entirety of the David Attenborough box set on the widescreen upstairs. There are only so many times one can watch a snow leopard hunt in 4K resolution before severe ennui sets in. Miss Elizabeth moved closer to the fire. "Have you considered expanding your viewing habits? Have you watched The Office?" Darcy raised an eyebrow. The Ricky Gervais iteration. "Heavens no, the one from the Americas. I suspect you might find some striking common ground with Michael, the protagonist. He, too, struggles with appropriate social boundaries in a professional setting." Darcy scoffed, his aristocratic pride bristling. "Please, if I am to subject myself to American television, I would rather binge-watch The Deadliest Catch. At least those crab fishermen possess a respectable work ethic and understand the value of enduring miserable conditions without complaint." He rubbed his temples, feeling a headache brewing behind his eyes. "Besides, I am taking a much-needed break from all screens. The digital landscape has become unbearable. Ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter, the Meriton Whisper network has been utterly weaponized. Your mother can scarcely get a rumor about a new bachelor to trend without paying for a blue check mark." Miss Elizabeth laughed, a bright, genuine sound that made Darcy's chest tighten. "You are not wrong, sir. Aunt Phillips has been locked out of her account twice this week for spamming the timeline with militia updates." Their shared moment of amusement was abruptly cut short. From the marble corridor outside, a sharp, rhythmic tapping echoed, growing louder with alarming speed. Click, clack, click, clack. Darcy recognised the ominous sound immediately. Miss Bingley was on the prowl in her red-soled Louboutin. The door was pushed open with dramatic flair. Caroline Bingley swept into the room, bringing with her a suffocating cloud of Chanel No. 5 and an iPad clutched to her chest. She leaned against the doorframe, posing as if waiting for a paparazzi from the Daily Mail, and sighed deeply. Under her breath, but entirely audible, she hummed the chorus of Olivia Newton-John's "Hopelessly Devoted to You," her eyes locked firmly on Darcy's silhouette. Darcy stifled a groan, his jaw clenching, as she launched into her usual breathy flattery. "Oh, Mr. Darcy, reading in the dark? Such superior brooding taste in lighting." His mind instantly sought sanctuary. He mentally cranked the volume to deafening levels, queuing up Motorhead. "I don't believe a word." Lemmy's gravelly bass line was his only defence against Miss Bingley's sycophancy. Miss Elizabeth politely covered a cough that sounded suspiciously like a giggle. Before Miss Bingley could suggest they browse Pinterest together for new carriage designs, Charles Bingley bounded into the library, oblivious to the heavy atmosphere, his attention fixed upon the glowing screen of his smartphone. "Darcy! Miss Elizabeth! Caroline!" Bingley beamed, waving the device, nearly tripping over an ottoman but catching himself at the last moment. "I was just trying to ascertain if Miss Bennet truly cares for me, and I recalled the profound wisdom of Cher's Shoop Shoop song. I was listening to it on Spotify just now. It truly is in the kiss, would you not agree?" Darcy stared at his friend. "Bingley, what in blazes are you talking about?" "Her disposition, Darcy. I must know her heart. I am seriously considering learning the TikTok dance to it so I can properly express my intentions from the lawn beneath her window. Like John Cusack with the boombox, but with more choreography." Miss Elizabeth smiled gently. "I believe my sister would prefer a simple conversation, Mr. Bingley. The choreography might startle her." "Startle her? It would give her palpitations." The booming voice belonged to Mrs. Bennet, who pushed past Bingley into the library. She was flushed and fanning herself aggressively with a glossy Domino's takeaway menu. "Oh, Mr. Bingley, never mind kissing or dancing on the lawn," she shrieked, making a beeline for the centre of the room. "Have you seen the state of your kitchens? I went down to request a simple Red Bull for my poor, sick Jane, and the horror. I was just telling Mrs. Nichols that if Gordon Ramsay were here, he would shut the entire operation down." Bingley blinked, pocketing his phone. "Is there a problem with the food, Mrs. Bennet?" "The sushi rice is undercooked," she cried, throwing her hands in the air. "An absolute nightmare. The sous chef was crying in the walk-in fridge and the Wi-Fi does not even reach the scullery. How are the maids supposed to stream their true crime podcasts while they scrub? It is barbaric. If I cannot secure a 5-star Yelp review for my daughters this season, we shall all be thrown into the hedgerows." Just as Mrs. Bennet reached the crescendo of her despair, a loud, repetitive honking echoed from the gravel drive outside, followed by the distinct crunch of tyres that definitely did not belong to a horse-drawn conveyance. Bingley's pocket vibrated. "Ah, my ring doorbell detects motion at the front portico." The library door flew open yet again. Miss Lydia and Miss Kitty tumbled in, glowing with the exertion of arguing. Miss Mary followed at a much more sedate pace, looking profoundly put up and clutching a Kindle oasis. "Mama!" Miss Lydia cried, waving a smartphone with a severely cracked screen clad in a glittery pink case. "We have come to fetch you." "Whatever for?" Mrs. Bennet gasped, clutching her chest. "And how did you get here? I did not hear the carriage." "Papa insisted the carriage is needed in the fields," Miss Kitty chimed in, rolling her eyes. "Something about the horses needing to pull the John Deere tractor out of the mud, so we had to order an Uber." "An Uber XL, no less," Miss Lydia boasted, adjusting the ribbons on her bonnet. "Though I must say, the driver was appallingly stingy with the auxiliary cord. I was practically dying to play the Miley Cyrus album where she can buy herself flowers, but he insisted on listening to a podcast about the Roman Empire. 5 stars for promptness, but 2 stars for vibes." Miss Mary adjusted her AirPods and looked up. "Actually, Lydia, the podcast was highly educational. It offered a fascinating deep dive into aqueduct engineering, which I found far more edifying than your pop music. It is a pity the journey was so short." Mrs. Bennet threw her hands up, the takeaway menu fluttering to the floor. "An Uber! To Netherfield! Oh, the humiliation! I hope it was at least an Uber Black. What will the neighbours say if they see a Bennet emerging from a standard Toyota Prius?" Through the pandemonium of Bingley practising his dance moves, Mrs. Bennet mourning her social standing, and the younger girls arguing over Spotify privileges, Darcy slowly reached out and found Miss Elizabeth's hand. "What say you, Miss Elizabeth, for a round of Minecraft?" The end. Thank you for listening to A Truth Universally Trending, a free audiobook composed by Lefki Karantoni. One evening she really couldn't be bothered. If you'd like to discover more of her work, visit www.lefkikarantoni.com.